I had a correspondence sent to me, um, and the question is, and I'm going to paraphrase because there's really no need for me to actually try to, go through the whole entire paragraph or the letter in itself to try to define what it says when I can just pretty much sum it up in what they're trying to say to us. And of course, the statement is this: Pastor Dowell, why shout at people? And of course, normally when I receive correspondence like this, usually people who have never been in any form of discipline before in life, and they're not accustomed to discipline, they always take it as if I'm shouting to people that I am disrespecting them, or somehow I am speaking very condescending towards these people, and I'm showing a total lack of respect or disregard for the general welfare and the being of others, because people are very sensitive, and you can go on and on and on and on and on. And of course, now listen to me very close. This is a mindset. Notice, mindset, meaning these people's mind are hardwired one way, and they believe that the whole entire universe should be actually thinking the way that they think and process thought. And you need to understand, we live in the West, and across that big old sea I commonly call the pond is the East. All right, and even over there they have Eastern and Western cultures, and so our process of thinking, the way that we think, the way we define things, the way that we try to communicate to get our point over, is totally different than people of other cultures. There's no doubt when you listen to me, I'm a passionate man. No matter how many times that I get on here and tell people, whenever you see me being very passionate to communicate, to try to get over to you how important things are, to don't take it personally, unless the shoe fit, and then use it as wisdom that you can apply to your life to advance you and your family going forward. But it's inevitable, growing up in this type of soft form of society that we live in, that it's obvious that a lot of people have never been in really too much discipline. That's the reason why their skin is so thin. They're very sensitive and feminine, and all the weakness of the common character and nature of man. Now, the only people that really, truly grasp and understand what I'm trying to say, because they pay more attention to the substance of the message, the community, what I'm communicating, as opposed to what you will call the theatrics, and all the other things that may, what you may put with it. But let me give you a few examples here for a second. Let me give you an example. As a child growing up, I played football, basketball, baseball. I went into the United States Army, the military. I was a paratrooper, United States Army. And every single one of those junctures right there, and also had a small stint of boxing. And let's go with coaches first. I cannot remember a coach in my day growing up who did not scream at me, who did not holler, who did not have what you would consider to be conduct unbecoming towards the human spirit. These coaches did not speak sweet, kind words to us while we were learning the system, while we were learning the discipline, or whatever it may be. And also in track. I ran track as well. I can't remember a time that any of these coaches was kind, sweet, and nice, unless we accomplished something, be it a victory, or be it we came in first place and received a medal, which I received a whole bunch of them, and trophies. That's when that we received a reward and we saw the other side of these coaches. But up until then, these men were nothing to play with. You know, when I went to boot camp in 1985, those drill instructors was nothing to play with. And they were not playing games with you. And they called us every name under the sun. They talked about our mother. They talked about our father. They talked about us. They had us out in our underwear, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning doing push-ups in the rain along with flutter kicks. They turned over our bunks. They threw stuff all over the barracks. They screamed. They hollered at us. They jerked us. They pushed us. They did everything that most of you today with your sensitive natures just simply cannot handle. You have no idea what's going on. And immediately, because your feelings, they get aroused. And you start functioning more off your feelings rather than paying attention to the reason why they're there. Because I didn't have to sign up for football. I did not have to sign up for baseball, basketball, track, and boxing. I didn't have to sign up for the United States Army either. Didn't have to sign up for any of those things. And nobody disclosed to me all the things that was getting ready to take place to prepare my mind when I got to every one of these places. And boy, did I have the shock of my life and a rude awakening. And I think that the only thing that really, truly preserved me through all of that was my competitive spirit. I mean, I had a competitive spirit, just like a lot of people. So some of you that don't understand, you just don't understand. I remember my son when he was in Taekwondo. And he had coaches that, they were hard, tough. And he was 6, 7 years old. And he was a little, it's kind of a little in between. But he had gotten so good that they started having him sparring for 11 and 12 years old. Now, that is a great gap in maturity. But that's how good that he was getting. But I can't remember once. And, of course, I sit back and I'd watch him. I knew full well what was going on because I had already been through many disciplines before in my life. But in boot camp, they called us everything but a child of the king or a sweet mother's child. We got cursed out, totally insulted, disrespected. We had disparaging comments said to us. We were called stuff I would dare not even share on this video for those of you who have sensitive ears. Well, as you begin to go up a little bit higher in the disciplines, I'm just going to use the military as an example. They call it special skills. In the United States Army, you have the Army as a whole. All right. And everybody that went into that has been in the military, they all have been through boot camp. A lot of people don't make it through boot camp for one reason or another. They just simply don't make it through. We call them candy, weak, sorry, sissies. And we had a long list for them. We didn't have any compassion on them whatsoever at all, especially if you couldn't stick it out or stake it out. But when I went to the United States Army Airborne School and we had ground week, them first couple of days was just literal hell on earth. We got cursed out. We had to run around all day long with our shirts off. The women got to keep theirs on, the few that made it. And they did everything in their power within the first 3 to 5 days to make us quit jump school. And I know that many of you have no idea what in the world I'm talking about. Only a few people. And remember, less than 2% of everybody in the Army is airborne qualified. Less than 2%. And they PT'd us, physical training us. Half to death. We rolled around in sand. We got doused with water. We got screamed at. We did PLFs until our body just literally aching, felt like it was going to fall apart. And they were rough on us. And I mean rough. Most of you too sensitive and too soft. You can't handle it. You literally, there's just no way. You can't handle it. But every day, they would call up at the beginning of morning formation, and they would ask, is anybody, even during training, they would ask, does anybody want to quit? And all of a sudden, you will see these people take a step back, and they will go to the front. And of course, many of us would try to tell our people, tell the people hang in there and stuff, and they would tell us to add ease and shut the up. And then if they caught you talking like that, they would PT you half to death right there on the spot. You had to run everywhere in jump school. You better not even be caught walking on those premises. If you do get caught walking, you will get smoked. And most of you don't even know what that means. And I'm not talking about going out back smoking a doobie or firing up a Newport or a Marlboro. And you're going to get smoked because heat going to come off your body even in that Georgia Fort Benning heat in the midst of the summer. And it is hot at Fort Benning. And people every day by the groves was quitting. I was beginning to wonder, with all the people that was falling out and giving up, I was beginning to wonder, is there going to be anybody's going to graduate this class? Because I had my mind made up. Mind made up. I'd be damned if I'm quitting. I ain't quitting. And I had a loud mouth, and I had a lot of undue attention drawn to me because of my loud mouth. And my back talking got me in a lot of trouble. I guarantee you that Fort Benning is probably about a 1/4 inch lower with all the push-ups I did in jump school. I didn't learn until about halfway through to keep my mouth shut because I was rebellious, stubborn, hard-headed, stiff-necked, the whole 9 yards. Young, full of testosterone. Man, whore. You understand what I mean? Well, I got the permanent party. Sure, they relax it a little bit easier, but when if you graduate jump school and you go to permanent party, things just don't get any easier. You were trained that right way for a reason. You were trained that way to maintain a standard of excellence, not to diminish a standard at all. Because even at that, they wouldn't tolerate or put up with you too much more longer. Not in the 82nd Airborne Division. They were not going to tolerate no attitudes. Well, over time, I became the sergeant. Next thing you know, I'm screaming and I'm hollering at people. And I'm taking people who thought that they were badasses to the wood line. If you don't like the way things are handled, in the 82nd, at the time when I was going through, we had what you would call wood line experiences. And it stayed in the squad, in the platoon. Nobody even talked about it. If somebody had a situation or trouble, problem, something like that, and it didn't take too many people. It didn't take people too long. That you don't want to go fooling around with a lot of these sergeants that know what they're doing, especially me. And I don't mind telling you that I whooped a few people's in the day. Well, our training did not get any easier. It continued to keep escalating, and it got harder. And because I don't remember running 12 and 15 miles just during morning PT during jump school. It just got even rougher and tougher and harder. But it was a level of discipline, a level of integrity, a level of attention to detail. I can go on and on and on. A level of precision that we had to maintain, and it couldn't be diminished whatsoever at all. And whatever the Army standard was when you was in the airborne, you had to do double. That was standard operating procedure. Well, then after that, years later, I decided to go to United States Army Airborne School. I went to Camp Kruger, Oklahoma. The U.S. Army Times had put out as the toughest air assault school that there is on record. And it was ran by reservists. That's all they did was just air assault school. And I don't mind telling you, it was hell. There ain't no way that half the people that passed air assault school at Fort Campbell, Kentucky, could have went to Camp Kruger, Oklahoma, and passed air assault school. No way in hell. You can't do it. And I found myself, even though I was an NCO, a non-commissioned officer, sergeant, I found myself getting hollered at, screamed at, having disparaging comments said to me. And you know what they were doing? They were trying their best again to make you quit. I know that many of you people out there don't understand this type of mindset. You see, because a lot of things are psychological and a lot of things up here, it has to do with the strength of the mind, which a lot of people's strength is very small. Because you can't fathom yourself putting yourself in any of those type of conditions and then being hollered and screamed at and having your character so-called diminished. And that's the reason why some of you, and I want you to listen to me, and if you choose to take offense, it's your right. You can do it. It's your prerogative. But I'm not one of these pastors that toy around and play around with people. We've even had our own attrition rate and cutoff rate here at Straightway over the years, and still, even till today, we still have it, whether it be in the home fellowships, the communities. Everybody just simply can't hack it and cut it. That's all there is to it. And the reason why that they continually keep asking people, do you want to quit? Because they only wanted the people that wanted to be there, but they were not about to back off, speak sweet, kind words to you, and make you think you've accomplished something when you've accomplished nothing. No, they wasn't. And when you go to Ranger School, Special Forces, Navy SEALs, Force Recon, none of this gets any easier. None of this. And people at different stages fall out, quit, all over the place. And I know it's hard for people out there, especially people in this country, because Americans are spoiled brats. We think the whole world evolved around us, our center of world, our focus. We think all of that. And so it's hard for people who have never had men over them leading them to understand what it means to be disciplined. And then check this out. When you start getting older in life and then you end up going through a lot of these things, or collegiate football. You know, I was talking to Brother Scott the other day. Brother Scott played for Kansas Jayhawks. He was a wide receiver. And I was asking him, did they did 2-a-days? He told me, Pastor, we did 3-a-days. I said, are you serious? And even though they're on scholarship, they are getting every bit of every penny and every worth out of them. And playing college football is no joke whatsoever at all. When you look at Sister Ashley here, Sister Ashley used to play collegiate basketball in Division 1A. As a matter of fact, she actually, with the school she went to, she was in Division 2A, I think. I think she actually won a national championship with her team. And there's a level of discipline at every level. These levels you go up, and only those people who have subject themselves to these different forms of correction, to these different forms of attitudes. These people are the only people that I've really met that really truly get it and understand what's going on when Pastor Dowell is hollering and screaming, rebuking and reproving. And I mean, when I holler and I scream, I holler and I scream. I will get your attention. I will get it. And I don't have to worry about asking people, do they want to quit? Time and chance happens to us all. And but there are going to be some people that they got into this and they thought it was Christianity. They thought it was, one of these soft peddling religions that they all been influenced by. When they get over here with me, all of a sudden, whoa, wait a minute. What in the world's going on? And they do not understand. I'll give you an example. For instance, the prophets. Let's go over to Isaiah 58 verse 1. Let's see what the prophet Isaiah had to say. It's in your Bible that you say you believe and you read. It says, cry aloud. That word cry means shout. Do you understand? And it says, spare not. That means do not at 1 minute, don't you ever think at any given time to withhold anything from the people. Don't hold back. You keep them in check. That's what it says. Don't you even refrain from crying aloud and spare not. And then look what it says. To give you an example in case you missed and you did not understand what it means to cry aloud, look what it said. It said, and lift up your voice like a trumpet. Isn't that something? And then it says, and show my people definitive their transgressions. See, when people in transgression here in America, they make laws for the transgressors. The transgressors always get by. The transgressors have it on the easy street. And if you don't like nobody hollering and screaming at you, you can always exercise your option and you can go back to your former lifestyle, back to your former ways, and do that which is right in your own eyes. Since when you came, you didn't know what was right in the first place. And it says, look at this. And the house of Jacob, their sins. That means the house of Israel. I am only interested in crying aloud and sparing not only to y'all's people. And that's it. The psalmist Dowell said in Psalms 28 verse 2, hear the voice of my supplications. When I cry, that means when he is shouting unto the Father. Most of you can't even fathom shouting to the Father. You don't even know how to approach him nowadays. And I will lift up my hands towards the holy place. When I lift up my hands towards thy holy oracle. Isn't that something? So, the people who have exercised these disciplines, and let's say there's a lot of mothers in the world, but everybody's not mothers. No, they don't. They let those little rats get by with literal murder because they can't, in their little wicked heart, they're wicked, these mothers and fathers' wicked heart, they can't fathom correcting or disciplining those little children. When the Bible clearly says that if you don't chasten your son, you hate him. It says when you spare the rod, and I see this is a literal epidemic today. You spare the rod, you spoil the child. Children are out of control today. Parents cannot literally control their children. Period. They just can't do it. And it's all because of the lack of disciplines in our lives. It's just a sad situation. It really, truly is. We are a sad people. And this nature is coming very contagious in the hour we're living in. It's very bad. But I'm talking about trying to reach people who can be reached. But if there's been people who have never been subject to being in any type of training whatsoever at all, to where they're going to challenge your spirit, because everybody don't make everything. When Brother Scott was playing collegiate football, everybody didn't make the team. People got cut. Everybody didn't make it in airborne, air assault, special forces, Rangers. None of that. Everybody didn't make it. They got cut. They quit. Some people voluntarily quit. Last thing you need when you up in the aircraft and you have well over 200 something pounds strapped to your body and stuff is somebody freaking out and losing their ever-loving mind. When one mistake can cost you either your arm or your life. That's the last thing you need is some. So you need people there who can handle the stress. You need people there who have showed themselves and proven themselves through the proper training that they have the ability to hack what's in front of them. And that's what we're looking at today. We're looking at a soft, effeminate, sissified, emasculated, and a sad generation to where if you say anything and speak in any kind of way, your tone, your inflection of voice, they take an offense. Of course, that's your right. That's your prerogative. But woe unto you that take offense. And I know you don't understand. You're going to justify yourself, but that woe is unto you. So, the rewards came after you won the football game. The rewards came after you received medals in track. The rewards came when you won the boxing match. The rewards came when you won the baseball game, the basketball game. The rewards came when you graduated boot camp. And the rewards came, the reward did, these silver wings that I had blood pinned up on my chest because they got pins in the back of them. And when I got my airborne wings, you see the pins on the back of these things? That jump master smashed these pins in my chest. And my uniform was stuck to it. And I pulled it out, blood came streaming down my chest. The reward came when I graduated jump school. The reward came when I graduated air assault school. Badges. Are you following me? To identify success. And these pins right here as well got stuck in my chest. No, they didn't just pin them on there. Congratulations. Amazing, huh? The reward came when you made the football team. The reward came when you won the national championship. When you won games throughout the season and you won the national championship. And when they both graduated school. You see, everybody don't have the discipline to do that. The reward come when you're a mother, when you're raising, mother, father, you're raising children successfully, is when they can actually make it all the way through 18 years old and still love you and honor you above all people on this earth. And we don't have that this day in this society. We just simply don't. Very few people I ever seen, and that's starting with me, all the way down, have ever seen where they have actually totally honored on a biblical scale their father and their mother the way that the Bible says. I didn't say, I'm just talking about just showing proper respect. Because once you become a man, once you become a woman, you're your own person. You can make your own choices and decisions in life. But we are a sad people today. And most of us are spoiled brats, period. And no, I didn't get to my other comment because I know that most of you can't handle it. And I'm trying to keep this as clean as possible because I know a lot of people just simply are just too sensitive in this generation. That's why I tell you, when you meet men that all they do is gossip and slander and talebear and backbite, all those, that's an feminine spirit. Women do stuff like that. Men, they don't have time for that. We're working. We're getting it done. And people, when they have too much time on their hand, they sin. They sin with the tongue. They bear false witness. It's a bad, sad thing. So our conditions in this world right now is not looking very good. And we are definitely in a serious fallen state. Matter of fact, let me finish this video on this article right here. I want you to listen to this article right here. All right, check this article out right here, and I agree with it 100%. Listen what it says. Sometimes the Bible uses analogies of a house or a temple to describe certain aspects of moral character and social relations, whether it is of a private or public nature. The above scripture refers to society in architectural terms. Analogous society is like a building, a structure built upon foundations. The institutions of society are its structures. The foundation is its source of faith, authority, and law. Now listen to this. Here it goes. This is where it gets good. This is the concern of the 11th Psalms. What can the righteous do when their countrymen no longer believe in Yah? What can they do when the people no longer fear him enough to obey his law and listen to his spokesmen? What can they do to reverse social decay when there are no instruments, quote unquote, foundations at their disposal to do so? No common faith, no common sovereignty, to appeal to for law. So no common faith, no common sovereignty to appeal to for law. What can the righteous do when they become foreigners in the land of their birth? And the answer is an absolute positively nothing. Listen to the next sentence, which I agree 100%. There's nothing they can do except to hide themselves in Yah and wait for him to rain fire and brimstone upon the wicked. That's all we can do. That's what I'm waiting on. Because somebody is right, somebody's wrong. And dialoguing and debating with men is just not going to cut it. The king is going to judge. He has to be the judge. And we all going to find out, and we all going to test that boast. When I tell you to come out of the cities, I'm not telling you to come out of the cities because I don't want you to enjoy the comforts of his world, but I've read the book. I understood the pattern. I see it in the Old Covenant and the New Testament. I see it. I understand what we're supposed to be doing. And I also know the difference between living in the city, because I've lived there all my life, with exception of the last 16 years. And I know the difference between living out here. And you would never get me back to living in those cities. Now I know the reason why Yah sent Abraham to get Lot and his wife out of Sodom and Gomorrah before he rained down fire, because them cities was wicked. He's going to destroy. And it's amazing. He even took us out of the city of Mizraim or Egypt to put us into the wilderness. But then later on in captivities, people got comfortable when they were in Babylon. They got comfortable in the Syrian captivity. And when it came time, in the fullness of time, for people to come back and to rebuild before the next change was getting ready to take place, very few people offered their services, their time, their effort, their money, their resources to actually go back to Jerusalem or Jerusalem and rebuild the temple. The harvest is plenty, Jesus said, but the laborers are few. And we're dealing with that same epidemic today. When you go to the book of Acts, it's obvious that all that believe were together. Now you look at our lives, look at us today. A lot of people so scattered and so apart, but yet they're going to defy that because what can you do? And let me finish this real quick. Nothing. There's nothing they can do except to hide themselves in Yah and wait for him to rain fire and brimstone upon the wicked. When the power centers of society are in the hands of the wicked, just like they are today, when the foundations are destroyed, the righteous must wait Yah's judgment to sweep them away before the righteous can lay new foundations for a new house. Sodom's sin resulted in Sodom's judgment. Sodom's judgment was a complete destruction, and that is what I'm telling you that is going to happen to the United States of America and the rest of these European nations and the rest of the nations that are in cahoots with them. I believe we have entered into an era of divine judgment. The conventional instruments to reform and reconstruct have failed to reverse the precipitous moral decline of recent decades. There is no hope short of divine intervention that the America of yesterday can be revived through customary channels. The decay has gone too far, and I agree. The moral decay, the spiritual bankruptcy, the moral degradation, it's just gone. It's gone. People today do not have the ability to discern and know right from wrong. The decay has gone too far, and under supports of faith have rotted out. Our civilization is fit for nothing except the manure pile. And that is where Yah is tossing it. And I agree. And a lot of you, like it or not, I don't care. I'm only here to report. I'm only here to deliver the word. It makes no difference to me whether you hear or forbear. I'm going to prophesy to the wind. But the ones that will hear, they understand my purpose and reasoning. And just like Moshe said, I would have thought that many of you would have already understood who I am by now. I would have thought that. That you, my brethren, would have known that Yah has sent this pastor right here to help bring forth a word of deliverance to help save our people. Now, I'm not the Savior. I'm only carrying the message of the Savior. That's it. I can only point you in the right direction, and I can lead as a shepherd if you decide to follow. But you will not be leading me. And that's the truth, and that's the true straight way. Been there, done it. You're not qualified to lead me. Your life has not even an ounce of reflection to show that you're capable of leading me. Before honor, there's humility. And we got a lot of prideful men today that want to lead, but they've never been humbled in the first place. And that's all this training and all these different things in our life, for many of us, has prepared us for such a time as this. Well, the restitution of all things is at hand. The kingdom of Yah is coming. You better prepare, whether you like it or not, to meet your Yah. And that's the truth. And that's the true straight way. I know it was a long video. Sorry about it. But I had to go ahead and minister that because the Ruach HaKodesh, which is commonly called the Holy Spirit, pressed it up on my heart to speak to those of you who have the ears to hear. And I want to end this video in this. If Yah intended on everybody to go to Shemayim, I know you don't understand that, so let me repeat it in a way that you do understand. If God intended for everybody to go to heaven, he would have not made a hell.